Hello everyone and welcome to game 2 in the series between Nev versus Lucifron. Nev spawning as the pretty in pink Protoss here on the bottom left hand side of the map. Meanwhile Lucifron on the top right hand side of the map as the green Terran. Terran versus Protoss in the Xel'Naga Caverns, and this map does make a lot of sense for Protoss. Only 2 spawning locations, you immediately know where your opponent is. Also, 2 base timings very strong for Protoss on this map, as they're able to get Colossi and a lot more units, a lot more AoE units early on in this matchup. 2 Xel'Naga towers in the center, but then again, if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you're already aware of this. Nev making his way out with 1 scouting probe already is going to be able to perhaps harass his opponent as he's trying to build his barracks. We'll see what these players try to do here in the Xel'Naga Caverns with their general strategies. Fast expansions are not nearly as popular, as we now see the SCV making a quick check, making sure that there are no pylons and gateways down over here. A very common strategy that really throws off a lot of average Terran players, or even sometimes above average Terran players, if the harassment and the cheese is that effective. SCV going after the probe just wandering around still. We'll see if any gas will be placed down. As of yet, Lucifron looks like he is not going for gas at this stage in the game, so he may be going for another fast command center. Meanwhile, we see a much more traditional build coming in from Nev, going for a gateway followed by an assimilator, and at this stage in the game, I would say that Nev is going to at least be getting 2 gateways and then perhaps trying to do a 4-gate push or get a robotics facility for a bit of scouting. Probe now still making his rounds on the inside. Nev pretty much knowing that his opponent should be getting up a command center in just a moment. As the SCV continues to build this wall off here, Marines will be added, and we'll see what will come down. This SCV just hiding down over here needs to make sure that there are no proxy pylons before he scouts out his opponent. And there you go, but this probe may set up a proxy pylon after the SCV scouted, and that would be huge. That would be a complete mind game change, as this probe now apparently looking for where that SCV could possibly be. Zealot is going to make his rounds off to the north. We are going to be getting 2 Marines up on that high ground. The Marines should be able to fend off any attack pretty easily, as Lucifron finally gets that 2nd command center I've been talking about. Now, 1 Zealot, 1 probe, currently warp gate tech being researched. We are going for a gas block, a very late gas block by Lucifron. So Lucifron, after spotting that his opponent is not getting or did get early gas, decided to block the 2nd gas as well. We are going to be getting a stalker. The stalker, however, simply going to walk and make his way off to the north. This SCV wants, or the probe wants to take down the SCV first. It looks like the SCV, is it going to be able to? Yes, it is able to run inside, and for the first time that I've ever seen in a very long time, an SCV is actually going to return home with a canister of gas and make his way off to the north, as we now see a Nexus warping in down over here. This Stalker is not going to be able to do very much at all. The early Zealot has already been taken out. The Stalker getting in some easy damage onto the Marines, but the Marines are going to back off. As soon as that bunker is completed, the Stalker will have to retreat and return home, as this Nexus about 1/3 of the way completed. Now, a sentry going to do its job and attempt to take down this refinery here, as we see an SCV retreating away from this Xel'Naga tower, able to slip by. This SCV did spot this proxy pylon here, but the Marines don't want to currently make their way out at all. We are going for a factory, the factory being built in a little bit of an odd location, and Lucifron doesn't have that many production buildings right now, so this is very, very strange. We are going into additional gateways now. This refinery doesn't spot anything beyond the Nexus and this gateway here. As an SCV is going to try to come up the ramp, he is going to gain sight on those 2 additional gateways. No, just one of the 2 gateways, as the gateways are now upgrading into warp gates. Lucifron is also getting into a starport. He is adding a tech lab here, so Lucifron going to transition into perhaps Banshees And without the robotics facility, Nev may be very, very weak to Banshee harassment. And this all has to play into the fact that he was gas blocked for quite some time. Harvester count sitting at 30 probes against 29 SCVs. Zealots now making their way off to the north. The Zealots may be able to shoot down or take down this SCV here. The SCV are deciding to back off. The Marine's gonna deal a little bit of damage here as the Stalkers and Sentries now make their way in. I do not believe that was canceled. So the Sentries are now gonna be adding to this group and perhaps pushing up this ramp. This is going to be a very difficult situation as Guardian Shield and Force Fields are going to really make a play into this. Additional Stalkers need to be warped in, but we currently see that Nev is supply blocked at 52 over 52, and it will be quite some time before he's able to really reinforce this location. Harvester count 38 compared to 35. Nev does have a better economy since he is running off of 2 bases now. No observer just quite yet. We are going into a robotics bay. The observer hasn't been started, but a scanner sweep does go down on Nev's base. So the jig is up, as we now know that Lucifron has to make a move sometime soon. The longer he sits inside his base, the worse he will be, as this one Banshee is going to fly by this pylon. I believe the Banshee will know about the pylon, but the pylon did not spot the Banshee, as the viewing range on a building as it's warping in is rather small. Banshee now looking to push here. We'll see what's going to be happening. The observer is now being trained up, and this Banshee is going to get a lot of kills, already getting 1, 2. Going to continue that count up as we now are already up to 4 kills. Banshees are not... Sorry, no Stalkers being warped in just quite yet. There we go. There's the Stalkers, and there's the Cloak, but not going to be worth it as the Banshee is now going after units. Is it going to be enough? The Banshee down to 20 hit points and now able to barely fly away and now head back home. A second observer has yet to be trained. I don't see a photon cannon, so more Banshee harassment may be in store in the future as Lucifron makes his way out with this army and now going to clean up some of these pylons in the middle of the field. Marines are now down on the low ground. Harvester count 43 probes versus 37. Army compositions fairly even though we have a much higher gas army coming in from Nev with a composition of Sentries and now getting those Colossi as well. One photon cannon being warped in the mineral line. Perhaps another one will be warped in down over here, just at least offering sight. This Banshee is very low on hit points, but already getting up to 5 kills, so that is 250 resources lost at the very least, in addition to the retraining of more and more probes there. This Banshee down to 100 hit points looks like it's going to get some more kills with a brother, as Lucifron now with 3 Banshees going to try to apply an annoying amount of pressure all across the map. This proxy pylon, as you saw, was taken down just moments ago. Stim pack now just getting started, so it's going to be quite some time as we now see a cloaked Banshee try to push in, but it's going to get destroyed. No, down to, what, 5 hit points. A sentry shot would have done it as the Banshee able to slip away and live to fight another day. Banshee count, we are currently sitting on 3 Banshees, 1 back here. I know that there's 1 over here. I don't quite know where the 3rd one is, perhaps back at home, just in case there's any engagement in the center. Now, the Stalker looking for that Banshee wants to get that free shot, free kill. Is that Stalker going to find it? The Stalker could perhaps find it. No, the Banshee is coming in right behind. And what is going to be happening here as now a Banshee coming across the middle portion of the map. Zealots are going to be in a little bit of an issue here, but the Stalkers are going to simply make their way in and shoot down that Banshee. A very easy kill. This Banshee going to perhaps take down a pylon. It's going to go down without any real opposition, as we now see more and more proxy pylons being added here. Nev is currently supply blocked 101 over 100. The probe going to rush in, only to fall to a Marine and a Siege Tank blast. We can now see, oh, what's going to be happening here? This Banshee currently up to 7 kills, may get even more in just a moment. A Stalker is now warping in, but I believe the Stalker is going to win out on that fight there. Down it goes. Now, Lucifron running off of 3 barracks, starport with a reactor, 4 barracks, excuse me, and also getting in some siege tanks. We'll see how this all plays out here as Nev with a very large army outside his opponent's door. 49 probes versus 46. The Vikings looking to get in some easy shots. The Stalkers could turn around and shoot down the Vikings in just a couple of blasts. And now it's a battle to see who can deal more damage to the opponent more quickly. High Templars are being warped in. Warp gates being added by Nev. Currently sitting on level 1 weapons upgrade, and that is it, as the Vikings and the Colossi are going to try to get a bit of an engagement. There's the Guardian Shield, reducing the damage that the Vikings do by a very significant amount, as now in comes the battle over here. It looks as though Lucifron is maybe able to win out, and there's feedback onto the Medivacs. And now, how is this battle all going to go out? The Stalkers are in trouble. The Zealots are not getting slowed down. The Marines do have Stim and Combat Shield. Going to continue this chase. And now even more damage being had. The Vikings in the air, not really shooting anything at all, as the Stalkers are now countering this attack. Archon now being merged in the center portion. This Archon is going to be in a bit of trouble. It is going to take a lot of damage, and there it goes. Lucifron sitting at 108 food versus Nev's 84. Nev unable to really break the Terran line here, as the destructible rocks are going to be cleared by Lucifron, as it looks like he wants to try to expand even further. Nev also with the same strategy and plan. Archons are upgraded 1-1. We are getting into Psystorm. More Vikings are being added, as Nev needs to get back into this game. He does have an even amount in economy, but his army is slightly smaller by what, 1,500 minerals and 400 gas. Rephrase that, very much smaller at this stage, as a Banshee now looking to shoot down some free pylons in the middle of the field. What is happening? This probe may get destroyed. No, the Banshee opts to not take it out, as an observer retreats back home. Upgrading even more gateways to warp gates now. It looks as though this one probe will finally get taken down. Banshee already up to 6 kills. No observer over... Oh, sorry, the observer off to the north, able to return back home there, as a scanner sweep apparently keeps track of what's currently going on, and a Nexus now warping in with even more High Templars being added to this group. Those High Templars feedbacking those Medivacs really hurt Lucifron, but he did train up more and now is able to get all of his bio army up and running and healthy once again. 58 SCVs with 4 mules currently in play. You can see even more units being trained back at home, as a proxy pylon now being set up here. This is going to be very, very dangerous engagement, but there are a lot of Vikings that are not very useful right now. Zealots and sentries now trying to push off to the north. Vikings not really dealing that much damage. The Marines and the Marauders with such a high concentration of DPS now pushing off, and still Nev continuing this push and somehow able to get in a fair amount of damage. And there's the Psystorm that we've been waiting for. Nev trying to engage Marauders, and Medivacs getting caught in transit, and now in comes the counterattack. One of the Archons down to 16 shields, but still able to engage for some reason, and Lucifron caught out of position here, and there's the GG. So Nev, who looked like he was behind for quite some time, all of a sudden, after a couple small bad engagements, unable to get back into the swing of things, as Lucifron lost a lot of his units, and without any ghosts, those Archons and those Psystorms, only 2 or 3 of them really needed to hit to deal a lot of that damage, and Lucifron losing Game 2 in this best of 3 series, as Nev has tied it up. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, stay tuned for Game 3 in this best of 3 matchup.